All right, I think we're live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inperspektev, episode 21, the show that is now legally old enough to purchase adult beverages.
Oh gosh, it's okay if you don't drink podcasts. It's okay. Oh man, we'll take it though. I'm Tevin, and then I'm here to join this dude over here, discuss some things, have some fun. But I'll let him get us started. What you got for us today?
well, first of all, I need my dibbly do to behave.
Your dibbly do. Your didgeridoo?
Let me just unplug my phone because that seems to be the issue here. Is a balance issue. But yes,
Do you know where the didgeridoo is?
I do not actually. I've just heard the word many, many times.
Have you seen like this long tube-like instrument? How's it sound?
Yeah,
It's
I've seen
like, that's like what it
I've
sounds like, something like that.
seen tube-like instruments before. Yes, they're
Bro.
called like flutes and recorders and
I mean,
saxophones.
it's like ridiculously long. And like I said, it makes a I'll have
I
to plug
might
it
have to
then.
look into
Yeah, I got you. We can do that later.
that. But yes, my name is Light, and I'm here with the homie Tevin to discuss all things deep and shallow. So whether you're here to swim or you're here to just hang out by the edge
Yeah,
and
just
just
waiting.
let the let the little vent thing blow on your butt so it feels nice. But
Yo. Whichever one you happen to be, we appreciate you showing up and splashing in water with us. What you want to get into first?
man, let's talk about this Batman
What
thing.
Batman thing are you referring to?
Man, so um all right, for those of you that don't know, Harley Quinn season 3, the TV show, the animated series is in production. And there was apparently a scene cut where Batman, Bruce Wayne, everybody knows who Batman is, um, performs oral sex on Catwoman. And for those of you that aren't aware, the Harley Quinn show is an adult show with lots of adult themes, lots of swearing, violence, sex, and cursing. Well, swearing and cursing are the same things, unless you swear a lot that you curse. But anyway, um, but yes, it's a very adult-oriented show, strictly for adults, where other things of that nature are not strange to see. But apparently, some of the higher ups at DC were like, "Nah, we're not gonna show Batman going down on Catwoman because heroes don't do that." Like, and this whole thing is blown up of just like a bajillion memes of now there's like even like comic artists and writers chiming in on it, and Zack Snyder just tweeted something like
Bro.
it's
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
like welcome to the internet. Like you give the internet an inch and it'll go a whole mile with it, probably even more than that. But I think the question is, would he actually do that?
Man, with Batman is a very well. I guess you could argue which side of Batman is actually like his personality. Is is Batman the real person or is Bruce Wayne the real person? Because Bruce Wayne is a very debaucherous individual. Whereas like Batman is one track mind, like justice, vengeance, brooding. Like
Right.
I don't know.
Mm.
So man, I don't know. If I was Bruce Wayne and I had supermodels swimming in the fountain lobbies of hotels and whatnot. I'll be swimming too. That's all I'm
Oh my God.
gonna
I
say.
mean, if that's the move, then perhaps that's the move. But I'd be interested in seeing if it was like pretty much like what you said. There's Batman, and then there's Bruce Wayne. Which one would actually be performing the act?
Hmm.
If it's strictly Batman, then what you're saying, I think would be true. I think he would not do that as a superhero because he's supposed to be out here beating people up.
I mean,
People
there's definitely
people
super.
up, not other things.
He's beating the cat up. No, I mean like there's other superheroes who definitely perform um the word I'm looking for to describe it. Very lewd sexual acts without shame. Wolverine. I If I had to put like superheroes in a category of like these people do X-rated things with no hesitation versus like uh these people watch Veggie Tales. Like, uh,
What? These people watch
you
Veggie
know what I mean?
Tales.
Uh, like Wolverine, Punisher, uh,
Deadpool.
Deadpool, uh, Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. Um, they do like Superman. Superman's like if you Superman's the guy that you ask if he has protection and he pulls out like the Charizard card. Puts it on puts it on the nightstand.
Bro, he has ultimate control. You don't have to worry when you're with Superman. He's gonna
Oh
protect you
man.
regardless.
But nah, like I mean, I don't know. Like Batman is depicted a lot as like this very standoffish, you know, kind of basically asshole. But in that show, like in the Harley Quinn show, like he makes jokes like to other people about himself because the nature of the show is a comedy. It's not like a traditional superhero cartoon.
Yeah.
But
Is that like how do you feel about that part? Because I myself haven't seen the show, so I would think that would rub people the wrong way, which I think this internet meme type thing is kind of showing that a little
yeah.
bit. Because like you changing the character up in a way that doesn't seem quote unquote normal to his normal demeanor. Does that how does that work?
Man,
Because I
I,
like the idea of it. I'm just saying I like the idea of it.
I guess, but at the same time, like if that's the one thing you're gonna be nitpicky about, there's a million other things. Um, I love the show, by the way. The Harley Quinn show is probably like my favorite piece of DC content I consume anytime recently.
Hmm.
Very good, uh, really good voice cast. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Alan Tudyk is the Joker.
Two dick.
Uh, there is, I didn't even think about that. um, uh, what is her? Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang
Hmm.
Theory, who plays Penny. She plays Harley Quinn. Um, I'm sure there's like lots of other people that I can't think of right
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
but it's a great show. It's very funny. Like it's actually legitimately hilarious. Um, and I would highly recommend people check it out. But I don't really think it's that big of a deal because like the whole show is ridiculous, and it kind of borders on that like Family Guy level of humor sometimes. So I'm like, all right, so we're okay with like everything else we've seen in the show so far, but like this is the one thing that y'all have a problem with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So
you can't play the this is supposed to be a kid's cartoon card when the
yeah,
show is like clearly for mature audiences. So yeah,
yeah.
I don't see other than the deviation from this is my Batman. My Batman wouldn't do this.
All right, well then go watch something that's got your Batman. Go watch Adam West.
Adam
Go.
West, Adam West, Adam West,
Yeah, I
Adam
mean,
West, Adam West.
uh, but no, I think if well, let me just say it. I mean, if I'm Batman, all that stuff he got, I know he got some bat goggles. He'll be all
Some bat goggles. Is he taking the mask off? 'Cause the mask is kind of
He's
pointy.
got
That nose
the.
is nose and ear is kind of pointy, so I don't know if that's a good idea.
Oh my god, man. But
I'm just saying,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, I think the whole thing is hilarious, and it's funny because it just kind of shows like how we were talking about how interesting it is like certain people get like upset over certain things, and then like other things. Because I don't really think anybody's really like beating down like DC headquarters doors over this, but like I don't I don't know. Like I haven't seen anybody that's like legitimately upset. Pretty much everybody I know is on the other side of the argument, but like I just think the whole thing is hilarious.
Yeah.
And the memes are fruitful.
Gosh. I mean, you can. The internet's going to have their way with pretty much everything that touches the internet or even touches anything in the real world. So I'm not too surprised the internet's running with it. I'm curious when it's going to end. I'll give it another week. Unless they somehow, like, it turns into like a legal battle or something ridiculous, trying to reinstate the original scene.
Yeah,
Then I can see it turning into something like way crazier than what it is already. So it'll be interesting. But definitely need to check out that show. On my infinite list. Look at
the thing is that you just this man still probably ain't finished Falcon and Winter
I
Soldier.
haven't
I ain't even gonna talk to you about Loki because I know you just haven't watched
I haven't watched
it.
that either. Haven't watched Mortal
Man,
Kombat yet.
man, well, you gonna have to wait for Mortal Kombat now till it like gets like release. But
Wait, is it off of
they run them for a month on HBO
a
Max,
word? I didn't know
and
that.
then, yeah, and then they like go away, and then they come back whenever it would normally like be released on like Blu-ray and stuff.
Hmm.
So,
Dude, that's probably
so
in like
it'll be
another
back.
month or two.
Yeah, but because they did the same thing with Wonder Woman,
Mm,
so which you
okay.
probably still haven't watched.
Oh no, I haven't watched that. Dude, I don't know the last time I even watched like a DC movie, to be honest, or a DC show. Uh,
Well, if you're gonna start with one, you should start with Harley Quinn. Because Harley Quinn is hilarious.
true. What about what's the show? It's a Titan show. It's not Titans though. No, Young Justice. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Because I
Yeah,
remember
I mean
watching
it's all
like the
right.
first two seasons. I like the first two seasons a lot.
I did too. I did too. But like I started watching season three, and I was like, man, I waited a long time for this. And I watched like the first like 4 or 5 episodes, and I'm just like, I'll get back to it eventually.
What?
Like I'm not. I don't feel like I'm missing anything monumental by like not finishing that show. But, like, yes, I enjoy Young Justice to a great degree,
Okay.
but it's just like, yeah, like I don't know. I feel like it's edgier for no reason. Season three,
Yeah,
like,
from some of the stuff that you and Cinto talked about, I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing that now. Like, all right, I got you.
yeah, like it's edgier for no reason. But I mean, and I don't want to be like the DC basher, but like a lot of DC stuff lately is just kind of edgier for no reason. Especially like the live action Titan show. I'm just like, y'all need to chill out. Like,
It's like a bunch of drama or what?
well, yeah, drama, just f bombs. Like in the trailer for season one of Titans, it's literally Robin like killing criminals, saying like "fuck Batman," you know, and just like I was just like, man, all right. Like I'm all for like edge lord content, but I want it to like actually feel like it serves the story. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, does it
I,
not?
man, I don't know. If you
He's
just,
like, is he just separating from Batman and trying to do his own thing? Like, to me, that
yeah,
sounds like it would make sense.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just,
It seems out of character to a certain degree, but
yeah. Like I don't know. It just doesn't feel natural for certain characters to do certain things at certain times. And
mm,
I feel like DC does a lot of the edgier stuff a lot more because they're not their parent company isn't a they don't have to deal with a company like Disney.
right.
You know what I mean? Which Disney brands themselves as like a family company. So I mean, you're not gonna hear like 69 f bombs in a Marvel movie. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Like even before
Versus
you
like
wouldn't.
yeah. So, but I don't know. Like sometimes it's a bit much for me. Like I know people make fun of Marvel because Marvel is like, you know, the fun company and you know everybody has a good time and nobody dies and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just sometimes like there are ways to make edgy characters interesting. Like they don't have to be edgy just for the sake of being edgy. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, look at us. Like we're the grown ups. Like you know, like I don't know. It's a bit much for me. And I like mature content. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I have no qualms with it. I have no qualms with like gratuitous violence or sex, uh, or just adult themes in general. But like
Hmm.
sometimes it just feels forced,
Yeah.
and
When it's
a
like,
lot of the time, yeah,
I get you, I get you, I get you. But in that one instance, I don't know. I think it's interesting because as of late, and I kind of talked about this a little bit with you. Um, the more dark content, darker themes, I should say, like in with the Gundam,
hmm
similar thing. I think I could probably get into DC a little bit more now because of that, because of the darker themes.
hmm
Because like pretty much exactly what you said, Marvel seems to be more of a fun loving type of a
yeah,
comic book company, and so
yeah.
it'd be interesting to see if they bring out some more darker characters in that regards.
I mean, they have them, but I mean, they're just not gonna be plastered all over like the movie theaters
That's
and
what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Because they definitely have like comic lines that are strictly for like 18 and up. You know, like the Marvel Max line where it's like just decapitations and amputations and sex scenes and you know like stuff like that. Which a lot of that stuff existed before Disney bought the company,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like their main line of like books or anything like that.
Yeah.
So and it usually only featured characters that were like that would fit those types of stories. So like, I'm sorry, your Punishers,
That
your
cheese.
Wolverines, yeah. Mm. But yeah, so like, yeah, if it fits the story, like Daredevil, love Daredevil, show is amazing, best superhero show ever made. Uh,
Don't
yeah, but um, but yeah, it's like one of the most darkest, most mature themed shows without like, I don't feel like it goes over the top. Like there's definitely a few points where it's very graphic. Like in season one when Fisk slams a dude's head in the car door. Like but like I don't know. But it to me it doesn't feel like there was never a point where I was going, oh, that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So but I enjoyed it all. So
No, you didn't. Don't lie.
I enjoyed it all. Hashtag
Every
save
single time.
Daredevil. Hashtag save Daredevil.
The 6 times you watch it all the way through.
Well, that's way more than that. It's way more than
It's crazy, dude.
that.
Can I tell you not one show I've watched that many times?
Man, every time something new, like one of the new Marvel Netflix shows came out, I would go back and rewatch Daredevil. So like Luke Cage season one comes out, like man, I gotta go rewatch Daredevil. Get right. Then like season two of like Jessica Jones comes out, like man, I gotta go rewatch Daredevil. Then like I don't even know,
Iron
like
Fist,
yeah, it's like man, I'm gonna go rewatch Daredevil. Like I
bro.
will rewatch pretty much any of those shows other than Iron Fist.
I was
Iron
about to
Fist.
say, and that's the reason I brought that up because I know you guys have
Yeah.
like the highest disdain for that show.
Man, it's so bad. Like so bad. Ugh.
I was hoping for something a little more action packed, which like it had its moments,
Yeah.
but there's so many things in that show. I was just like, this looks either horribly done, the choreography was weird, or something, dude.
It's a show about a martial artist.
That wasn't actually a martial artist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we'll take it.
he yeah.
Say it is what it
Whatever.
is.
I could talk about that all day.
Oh gosh. All right, man. Moving on. Juneteenth.
Yes. So yesterday, June 19th, was Juneteenth, which is what Juneteenth stands for.
I mean, Juneteenth could have been the 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th.
Well, if you want to get technical, I guess technically June 17th is the day that the soldiers arrived in Texas to declare that the slaves were free, which is the day it actually happened. It was June 17th. I don't know why or how it got switched to the 19th, because if you look up like the definition of the word Juneteenth, it means June 19th. But the day that it actually happened was June 17th, 1865, which was basically the whole thing was uh, people in Texas still had slaves after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. And it wasn't until 2.5 years later and soldiers arrived in Texas basically to force people to free the slaves. So the whole like thing behind Juneteenth is that like we weren't really free until Juneteenth because even though uh the Civil War was won and the Emancipation Proclamation was passed or whatever, people still had slaves,
Hmm.
and they were just like, "Well, I'm gonna just do what I want anyway." So Juneteenth is when military forces went down to Texas and was like, "Nah, y'all gonna do what we say," basically by the threat of force.
Law and order.
You know, well, no, law and order is when people follow the laws, and the order is what comes of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Enforcing the law, pretty much. Yeah. So that part's understood. Um, the it's crazy how fast stuff happened though. Like just this week, it got signed into law that it's going to be a federal holiday. So
yeah.
how
I
how do you feel about that? Because I
okay,
have
so
some thoughts.
I kind of feel the same way I do about Black History Month because I think it is important to have it be a federal holiday. I think it does show progress as a country and as a society, but at the same time, it's still a very symbolic gesture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's very like yes, we deserve this, but at the same time, it's still kind of empty because y'all telling us that like we're recognizing Juneteenth as like a national federal holiday, but we're still talking about banning critical race theory, and we're still like dealing with systemic racism and police brutality and this, that, and the third. And we're like discrimination in workplaces and stuff like that. So all that stuff is still happening. But woohoo, we got a holiday.
Is it though?
Is it happening?
Yeah, is it still happening? I don't know.
Man, yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
The thing I feel weird about is like I'm cool with the holiday and all that. That's cool. I like to remember things. I like to,
Yeah.
well, I'm not gonna say I like to celebrate things, but I think it should be celebrated. Um, but at the same time, you just gave the people in office a free paid day off, right?
Yeah.
So like I didn't expect it to not get signed into being a federal holiday. I was like, you just gave people the same people that a lot of people are complaining about. You just gave them a paid day off, like another one on top of what they already have. So
Yeah.
that part kind of threw me off because it's like is to me it was going to be a given. There was no denying that the holiday was going to be given to people. Like, yes, it does bring awareness and whatnot. Like you said, it's kind of like Black History Month in a way. So it's pretty much a 50-50.
Yeah. It's definitely performative. Like the same thing definitely goes for Black History Month. The same thing goes for Pride. You know what I mean? Like at its core, I do believe it's good for the people. You know what I mean? That we're supposed to be celebrating,
Hmm.
or whatever we're supposed to be acknowledging. Like at its core, I think it is important for it to actually be acknowledged. The problem is that it's basically if you're not if you're not treating those people with the same type of respect the rest of the year, like then it just becomes hollow. You know what I mean?
Who are those people?
Like just okay, if in this instance it would be African Americans. Like if you celebrate us on Juneteenth and you got like green, yellow, and black clothes on, and you know what I mean, and you're celebrating our culture. You're eating the food and stuff like that, and then June 20th, you go back to work and like fire all the black people in the office. Like, you know what I mean? What, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Hmm. But what about,
Like,
okay, I'm hearing you, and I understand what you're saying, but like, what would you say to the people that would argue that the holiday isn't for modern day Black people, it's for people that actually got um, released as slaves or no longer being slaves?
man, well, if that's the case, then there's a bunch of holidays that we celebrate that nobody should celebrate.
Like what?
Yeah. Like, okay, if we're gonna say that it's for the people who are dead and gone, like, you know what I mean? Okay, so wouldn't that hmm, I was gonna say Memorial Day. That's gonna piss a lot of people
Bro.
off. Like, that's gonna piss a lot of people off.
That's a different situation, though. That's a different situation. Because, like, in that case, you're literally, the holiday is specifically for the people that have passed away.
Okay, but
The
okay,
difference is, like, I feel like someone will argue, which people do in, like, a different sense when we're talking about whenever we get into CRT. But, for example, with CRT, people will say, or just systemic racism in general, people will say that the the main thing, slavery, is over. Like you didn't have to go through it. Like that whole mentality. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, okay, and I mean people have that argument all the time when we're not even talking about Juneteenth, but it's like okay, but we're still dealing with shit like Jim Crow and like segregation and like all the other stuff that has continued past the point of the end of slavery.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Where people find legal ways to discriminate and persecute black people for little to no reason. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Right? It's literally just small loopholes in the legal system. Uh,
So you're saying pretty much like the same thing with systemic racism. Like we're celebrating the the lessening of the ramifications of slavery. Is that what you're pretty much saying?
I suppose it feels extremely depressing when you word it that way,
I mean
but
that I feel like that's essentially what's happening. Like we can both agree that racism hasn't gone away.
yeah,
The way it exposes itself and appears is has lessened in a way over time. It still has a
yeah,
lot of work to be done on it. But
yeah,
like I think that would be the connection to be made. Yes, it does
yeah.
sound depressing, I understand that, but I know there's people who gonna be like, that has nothing to do with y'all. Like, you're individuals, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
That whole mentality, which is like, okay, there's truth in what you're saying, but at the same time, you have to realize that history creates the future and the present.
history definitely created this country. And if y'all want to get mad, if y'all, and by y'all, I mean the people making that argument, if y'all want to get mad at us acknowledging the atrocities of American history, then
Can you say that a little bit louder?
maybe y'all shouldn't do the things that if you don't want to hear people complaining about something, then don't give them something to complain about. Mm. Like to me, that's like the like that thought process for me has been like something I've been thinking about a lot lately because you can apply that to so many different aspects of life. You can apply it to like cancel culture, just like a bunch of different conversations in general. I'm like, if you don't want somebody to react negatively to something you do, don't do it. Like straight up, you have the choice. You have free will. No one is putting a gun to your head and making you do things. So, if you want to get butthurt that people are taking something you did a certain type of way, just don't do it. Like, if you have to think, like, damn, like, should I do this? People might not like this. You know what I mean? People might really not like this. If you have to, like, think about it for that long and really consider it, on some level, you know that you should probably respect a reaction of that kind to at least some extent. Like, because if you have to have that thought process before you do whatever it is, then in your head you know, like you know already the kind of reaction you could possibly face. So at that point, if you still choose to do whatever said thing is, I don't feel bad for you if you get like some kind of lynch mob beating down your door.
Look at you're
Like,
opening a can of worms, dude.
man, all right, that's fine. We can open
No, you don't. Do you want me to bring up the
it.
example?
I'm curious as to what you're
Yeah, I kind of want to keep it to myself.
like. It's whatever. Like I'm still not gonna change how I feel about
Okay, well, okay. I'm bringing it up
it.
then. Keep that same energy. What if someone's coming
Okay,
out to their parents?
that's completely different. It
How?
is.
How? You're
It is.
saying if you do something
No,
and a
no, no, no,
reaction
no, no.
comes.
Okay, hold on. Because yes, what I said is I guess vague enough to include this
Yes.
argument. But
Okay.
at the same time, one of these things, what I'm talking about is the act of like doing things that could be considered discriminatory.
Okay.
Because when we're talking about like racism and systemic racism and like inequality and stuff like that, and people say that we didn't go through that stuff like that, y'all need to get over it. It didn't happen to y'all. What we're debating is discrimination that happened, and basically people are trying to justify the actual discrimination that took place or whether or not we should be offended by it. Um, in the other instance, if you have like somebody coming out, that's not discriminatory towards
Okay.
anybody.
That clarification was not made, so I was like, yo, he is opening a can of worms right now.
All right, no, I'm okay. For y'all out there and people like Tevin, I have to be super specific.
Hey, if you're on the internet, anyone can take anything out of context.
No,
Just
like
saying.
there's nothing wrong with coming out to your parents or anybody else because like at that point you're just being yourself. Like the reaction to you could be discriminatory, but your actions of coming out are not hurting anyone. Whereas on the flip side, like I mean, you're discriminating against somebody does hurt people, whether it's like physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever. Like, so there's a very those two things are on the opposite sides of the argument.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like
That
I-
it may have not been the most eloquent way to present that argument, but
if you're directly affecting somebody, then you deserve a reaction versus like indirectly.
yeah,
I think that's what it boils down to because like there's so many cases where you can go out and physically punch somebody
yeah,
for no reason, and it's like, why'd you do that for? That wasn't good. That's not a good situation to create. And then there's other situation where you go out, you got fireworks. I don't know. I'm just bringing some random stuff up. Got fireworks. You send off fireworks, and then somebody comes to punch you, and it's like, okay, I indirectly affected your life in a way with the fireworks,
oh, okay,
but
just
I
punching.
didn't deserve that reaction of the punch to the face. If that makes sense.
I I guess, but that's still like there's still a situation where it would be debatable um, whether or not the fireworks are harmful. I know that's like semantics, but like it depends on who you're asking. But what I'm talking about are very clear instances of people being wronged versus people feeling like they're being wronged. You know what I mean? Or the reaction to your actions. Like you feel like the reaction to your actions is unjustified, even though what you did can be like there's no vagueness to what your actions were. Like you had a specific intent with what you chose to do or say. You're just salty that more people didn't agree with you than you wanted. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I don't know. But yeah, if we are allies, I just want to make that clear. At least I'm an ally. Like, and if you're bringing up that argument where slavery was however long ago, it really wasn't that long ago. First of all, like the end of segregation, even like there's still people alive who were alive when the Civil Rights Act was passed. So you know, like it really hasn't been that long, and we're still dealing with shit. Like obviously, that's plain for anybody to see who turns on a TV. But yeah, I'm not racking with anybody who makes that argument because I'm just like clearly. And you know what the funny thing is I'm like I hear people say that and say that like systemic racism isn't as bad as you say it is, and you guys are over exaggerating. Y'all need to get over it. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. So would you want to be black for a day? And most of the time the answer is no. And I'm like, it's interesting that you think we are actually equal and that we're making a lot of this discrimination stuff up. But so I'm wondering why you wouldn't be okay with being black. You know what I mean? If we truly are treated equal, you know what
I mean,
I mean?
maybe they just like being whatever they are.
Mm,
Maybe they don't.
okay.
Maybe it's actually as worse as it is, and
Okay.
they just don't want to admit it.
Okay.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I don't know. It's I'm glad we're moving forward. That's about all I
Yeah,
got to say about that.
in some aspects.
In some aspects, it's always going to take time, especially with people in power doing things the way that they see fit, which might be okay for their generation, but new generations coming through, got different ideas, different ways of going about things, different goals that they're trying to meet. So I think, as we've said before, many a times, it's just gonna take time. Keep moving forward, but for
But there's
people,
still there's still people in the new generations that follow the uh the old ways of thinking though.
yeah. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's just how it's gonna be though. We gotta eat those. But I think it's gonna, as time goes on, there's gonna be less and less of that. Is really what it's gonna be.
I think so, but I think it's also still important to actively combat that way of thinking and not just be passive towards it. Um, because again, some people literally will not back down unless they feel challenged. And sometimes those people end up being the people in power. You know, sometimes they are just loud voices on the internet,
That's
but sometimes they are people who can actually make a difference and directly influence and affect policies, you know, and laws and whatnot.
yeah.
And I think it's important, like yes, things will get better as time goes on, but it's also important to actively combat that way of thinking and those types of mentalities. Like don't be non-racist, be anti-racist. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to not say something. I get people like it's that like bystander effect, but like it's unfortunately to me I feel like human nature is people
Self-preservation.
react. Yeah, people react the most when they have direct consequences to something.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, that might present somewhat of an extreme situation sometimes. But I feel like if we don't call out these people in these moments, they'll go on thinking that, okay, well, these people who are watching me do this thing just let me do it. So I must be okay to do it in front of other people in other places. You know what I mean? Or maybe somebody watching them do the thing got inspired when they saw that they didn't have any consequences, and now they're gonna go do the same thing.
Hmm.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like things will get better, but we also have to like actively combat these types of mentalities. So
Cool. Cool. All right. We can go ahead and move on to our main-ish, main-ish, the main topic. Oh man, I don't know exactly what you want to get into with this, but I'll let you go ahead and start.
let's talk about CRT.
Yeah.
Yeah, CRT, not the not the old school TVs that were simple to hook up and you know we could play Smash
Melee.
Bros on with no lag. We're talking about critical race theory and why it's important because it is important. I'm gonna just say that first and foremost.
Is it though?
Uh, it is
Oh, okay.
because if we don't teach it, those people who are gonna be who are gonna grow up with the old ways of thinking aren't going to have the information or resources necessary to follow along with the rest of the class as society progresses.
When you put
Well,
it that way, it sounds bad.
okay, well,
We're just gonna follow along.
no, but I'm just saying, like, you say society progresses forward, and CRT helps society progress forward because, like, there are people who use the excuse oh, I didn't know these things happened or didn't happen, or I didn't know this was wrong or whatever. And a lot of the times, like people don't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921, Black Wall Street. Uh, and it's because it's not in a lot of textbooks. It wasn't in textbooks when I went to school. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever saw it anywhere in school or heard
I
about
think I
it or read
have.
about it. Like, but I know a lot of people's excuses for being ignorant to systemic racism is that it's not in textbooks, and that's like their get out of jail free card they try to use. You know, it's like, okay, well, if we teach critical race theory, like that excuse is off the table. Like
Mm,
now it's up to you, like to decide whether or not you still want to be an asshole or not. like, um, but no, I think it's important just because there's a lot of people who were wronged in the creation of this country and getting it to the point where we are today. And I feel like they deserve to at least have their story told in an accurate way. You know what I mean?
mm.
So, because if we just think that, you know what I mean, uh, like Pilgrims and the Native Americans just sat down and watched Fresh Prince and, you know what I mean, ate corn and turkey and everything was chill. You know what I mean? Like, that's going. I mean, that already has led to some pretty nasty misunderstandings and things that have been implied. So I think the history needs to be portrayed in an accurate light. Um,
It's like a
if it,
case of like omitting information.
right, I think that I think that's important, and I get that it makes some people uncomfortable, but sucks to suck.
I mean,
Like,
that's the more interesting part to me, I think, because like I don't think there's any disagreements that pretty much the whole idea of history is being written from the winner's point of view. That whole shtick, whatever the word is.
yeah,
I think that's pretty legitimate. Like it makes sense. People survived. People that have the native tongue, writing language, whatever it is, that's used to tell stories. Those individuals have the power to record what they believe happened, which, it's their truth. I'm not saying it's an accurate truth. I'm not saying it's the truth, but it's their point of view. It's their truth. Um, but for a more complete story, we do need the opposite side to speak. And then somewhere in the middle, we find like what actually happens. That's my take on that. So for the people that do kind of like go against CRT in that from that point of view, and just looking at a more whole picture of what actually happened, I don't know what's to argue there. I really don't. Like there, history repeats itself, and we see this all the time in so many different situations away from like racism in history, like relationships. Like there's one point of view and there's a second point of view. What you felt might not be the same thing someone else felt. So like you gotta get both sides. But people don't want to do that either. So, but I want to drag us away from that. Um, but yeah, the thing I'm more interested in, one, I don't know what's being taught in schools that people are freaking out about. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like we're hearing a whole bunch of like, oh, we're gonna demonize white people, we're gonna demonize this, and we don't want our children to grow up feeling demonized and having that mentality. Which there's a whole things in there which I feel like I can just slap at and make a comparison that kind of destroys the argument. But that part is more interesting to me is why they feel that way and what's being taught because I'm not hearing too much of what's actually being taught. It's just, oh, we're gonna feel demonized. I don't want them to feel that way. I don't know if you've heard anything about like what's being taught. like specifically?
The truth.
I mean, like this thing happened and these people are bad, or is it like just this thing happened and this led
I,
to potentially this
see,
happening?
I
Like,
don't I don't think it ever gets boiled down that simple. Like, and that's the thing is like people say stuff like that. Oh, we don't want to get demonized. We're gonna get seen as bad. I don't think I don't think it happens like that most of the time. Like, if it's kids learning something from a teacher or a professor, and the professor happens to like input their 2 cents on the matter, that might be one thing.
yeah,
But the thing is like they still have the actual text to read from. You know what I mean? So like it's not always people just like drilling propaganda into your kids' heads, which is what I guess the argument is most of the time. Because it's like, oh, well, these teachers are teaching our kids that white people are terrible, and I'm like, is that what's happening, or are your kids just reading more accurate textbooks? Because I don't like, to me personally, I don't feel like it's kids go to school and then teachers like drill their opinions into the kids. At least I don't feel like that happens. Not on like a majority level
I would say
anyway.
to a certain degree, because like if they're teaching it from the standpoint of themselves reading some information, and then they're supposed to
Yeah.
draw some inferences of what happens later on, or the applied effect or the implied effects of whatever event happening, then like to a certain degree, unless they're reading straight off a sheet from like a conference that they've gotten information from, but I think to a certain degree they have to add somewhat of their interpretation of what's happened.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
But the thing is that these kids are also like people, and they have the ability to draw their own conclusions from the information that they're being given. So like, even if a teacher feels a certain way about a certain topic, like it's up to the student to decide, you know, what they take away from it.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think that there's like a mass indoctrination of students for the hatred of white people
Yeah.
at all on any level. Sorry, not sorry. Um, and I think that's what like the majority of the time that I hear this argument, that's kind of like the card that people are playing is, oh, y'all are just teaching people to hate like straight white people. And I'm like, are they, or are we just talking about some terrible shit that straight white people happen to do? And if they decide to draw some type of conclusion from said story that involved these straight white people, that's that's not the teacher's fault. You know what I mean? Especially if they're literally just reading the story. Uh, you know what I mean? And it goes back to the whole thing. It's like if you if you decide that you know what I mean, like you're worried about that, then like why are you worried about it? Like maybe like sit down with your kid and discuss with them what they learned about. You know what I mean? Like you might learn something. Like
I mean, that sounds like an awesome idea until you realize that typically the older you are, the less receptive you are of new information. Stereotypically speaking. Generalization, not necessarily always true.
yeah, well, I don't know what to tell those people.
Yeah. But like you
Because
bring up a good point about like why people are worried about that. Because I was thinking about this week, and like I said, I was kind of like watching some stuff like different panels and whatnot that discussed it. And during that time, I thought to myself, I was like, if people are worried about this information, quote unquote, tainting their children and presenting their race, whatever, their identity as a negative thing,
yeah,
then you can't like say that people are individuals and whatnot. You can't go against the idea that media potentially tainted those same people about, you know, black people, Mexicans,
Yeah.
gay, straight, whatever. And then on top of that, you're gonna claim to be a victim of something. And I think that
Oh.
piece right there just I thought about that. I was like, wait, we claiming victimhood right now? Is that what's happening?
No, they hate those.
I don't know. That's just something I thought about. I'm not sure how legitimate it is, but it made me think a little bit.
Nah, a lot of people that claim to be victims of that type of stuff usually try to be victims of same things that they claim
Yeah,
to hate.
it's interesting how that
So,
works.
yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting, not surprising.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. But like also with that, I've thought about this. So and I think I presented this to you guys already before, but growing up in some of the places that we grew up at, our some of my classes are like predominantly white. And so I know I felt awkward when we was talking about slavery and that whole time period. Like looking around, I was like, yo, only black dude in here. What's going on? Why are we talking about this? Always felt weird because like I don't know. I guess I'm just assuming other people's thoughts about black people. If that makes sense. So like part of me wants to like empathize, because like I know that feeling, but at the same time, I'm like I had to eat that.
Yeah,
Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah. No, I definitely understand that. I wouldn't necessarily say that I felt that at all, honestly, just because like I was kind of a delinquent and I really didn't care about what we were talking about, regardless of what it was. Um, but uh, honestly, my here's my whole take on that whole situation. Parents, if you or your kids, the students too, if either one of y'all are uncomfortable learning about slavery, racism, systemic racism, institutionalized racism, segregation, I don't care. Like straight up, like I do not care. Like the uncomfort that you feel talking and learning about these types of things, magnitude or magnetize, well, not
Magnify.
magnetize, uh, magnify that by like 50,000%, and that's what it actually feels to be a recipient of that type of discrimination. So if I gotta make you on like a fraction of that amount, like if you get a fraction of that uncomfortability, and it then prevents you from being racist or discriminatory towards another living, breathing human being, I'm cool with that because you being uncomfortable for like a 45-minute class, learning something, and then not doing the horrible things that you just learned about, that's way more important to me than your feelings. Because when you don't learn about these things, it does way more than hurt the feelings of people that look like us. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that can be used as a tool.
Yeah.
It's not. I want to. I don't. I don't think it's fact. It's not like a factual thing because it's not every single case you're going to get the same results. And the reason why I say
Well,
that, go ahead.
I was just gonna agree with you. I
Okay.
was just,
I was going to say the reason why I say that is because it's called a theory for a reason, which thought about this, looked it up, definitions seem to match. this whole idea. So like there's like theories and there's theorems. And theories are quote unquote verifiable, as in you can show that there's like examples of whatever theory is matching the result that it says it's supposed to match. And then the theorem is yeah, demonstratable. So that means that like every single time you can do it over and over again and you're gonna get the same result. So it's kind of like, and this is what people's been using as like the term, it's more of a lens to look at the world. So you can more easily explain potentially why certain things are happening and whatnot. So I don't know. People need to stop tripping. I think it would ends up being at the end of the day. There's just like there's information out there. There's different ways of thinking about things. You just gotta be able to know when to use it, know how to use it, and like be willing to use it in those situations to explain stuff. But it's like nope.
I get that. I get that.
And with these, I see
But
what I see.
I get that, and I get like the whole mentality like people need to start tripping or being like offended or whatever. But at the same time, and I've said this before, it's very important not to boil it down to that because people will take that statement and make it so vague
But I
that
added on some other stuff on it. People need to stop tripping and use these tools
yeah,
instead of just being like, "Oh, this is bad," and you're like reacting off of
yeah,
maybe 2% of whatever the information is. And like
yeah,
again, that goes back to like shouldn't be cherry picking the pieces you don't like to explain why something is bad. Like
yeah,
same thing with everything else. Oh, I don't like this song because this artist likes Pokemon or something weird. And it's just like, bro, that has nothing to do with the song. Like the song is a whole separate thing.
okay,
Like give me a
yeah,
good reason why you don't like it. And then
but yeah,
find reasons why you should like it. I don't know.
but yeah,
People
but it's
upset me.
just it's a different kind of argument or conversation depending on the topic we're talking about. Because the thing is, you can apply the same question to different conversations, and you know the level of importance varies from subject to subject. Like when we talking about music opinions, it's different than like what I mean. Don't throw rocks at black people. Like what
That all right. Yes, obviously. What what are you
but
doing?
look, man,
You're trying to pull a
like
very
I.
bad me, a very, very bad me. This is not what I'm saying at all.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Bruh.
saying. But I just want you to know how annoying that
Bro, I make legitimate comparisons.
um, most of the time.
No, I'm like Germex at least.
Okay. All right. Like that great value, that germ Y.
Hey, it's still 99.9% of the time. We'll take it.
Man, it might not real. Yeah, I can't speak today. It might not yield the same results all the time, but it still helps. Like critical race theory still helps. It will still prevent people in the future from making the same mistakes people in the past did. So, again, if it makes you uncomfortable, how about not like boycotting it or trying to ban it? How about looking in the mirror and asking why it makes you uncomfortable?
Yeah,
Because if critical race theory makes you uncomfortable, it might be racist just a little bit. Maybe you have some racist
I mean, I wouldn't say all that.
tendencies. maybe, maybe, maybe you're ignorant or biased. You need to explore the feelings that you're having in regards to
I wouldn't say all
that.
that either. That may be
um,
the case. But for the people that aren't like that, you're probably uncomfortable because you don't like the idea of somebody doing that stuff to other people, which that's respectable. I understand that. But you still need to learn about it because being uncomfortable isn't a reason to not do something. Unless it's like specific things that we ain't gonna talk about
Yeah,
right now.
you gotta be like really
Yeah,
specific.
there's nuance
There's
about that.
there's definitely things that you should not do if you're uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
but like those are like we know, we know what we're talking about.
yeah,
But
but yeah, but yeah. Like just but seriously, like on a serious note, all jokes aside, if critical race theory makes you uncomfortable, why?
yeah,
Just like sitting down and ask yourself why. Like, are you just dead set in your ways and you believe what you believe and you're really not receptive to new information? Because all it's really going to do is help push society forward. You know what I mean? Like, we need to talk about these things. Um, we're like the only country in the world that quote unquote celebrates our history, uh, like all the bad parts, while refusing to ignore, while refusing, we celebrate the bad parts while refusing to acknowledge the effects of those bad things. Meanwhile, you got countries like Germany who straight up almost wiped an entire group of people off the face of the earth. And if you get caught in Germany doing a Nazi salute, like they will like ship your ass straight to the. I was trying to think of some like witty analogy, but it's not coming. But like the deepest darkest hole in the ground, like that's where you go, like
to the shadow realm.
like straight these like Nazi salute straight to the shadow realm. They do not play.
No.
straight to the shadow realm.
My goodness.
um, but yeah, so like it really baffles me here in America when we like openly celebrate insurrectionists because that's what the Confederate was. They were insurrectionists. They were, it was treason. It was that's literally the definition of what like that type of stuff would be. Is I don't like what my country is doing. I'm going to secede, start my own. Except there was no blackjack and there were no hookers, and it wasn't fun. Um,
You lost me there, but
it
keep going.
was a Futurama reference,
Okay.
but uh, but yeah, we're the only country in the world where it's socially acceptable to fly a Confederate flag and have no type of legal consequences. If you got a Confederate flag on your truck or in your front yard, police aren't going to come tell you to take it down. You know what I mean? Like, why are we the only country in the world that does it? That treats that type of thing that way, where we generally accept that that was a bad thing in history. The Confederacy were the bad guys, but we still, for some reason, celebrate their heritage or legacy. You know what I mean?
How?
Like, what do you mean? Like, we, we talk about them in positive light, or just, we have these statues to honor. We have these statues and these monuments and these flags to honor these people that did terrible things to other human beings for no reason. Like that alone is, and then we have people who are fighting to preserve their legacy by defending these memorials and the uses of these flags and stuff like that.
Hmm.
The typical Confederate flag that you see on a day to day basis isn't even like the actual one. It's like the freaking battlefield. There wasn't even the flag you will normally see on like bumper stickers and outside people's houses and stuff. I want to say it came around in the 1900s. I'm not sure about the exact date. It wasn't used in the Civil War. I know that. So that's not even if you're claiming it's a heritage thing. I'm like, that's not even the right flag, first of all. So, uh, but yeah, like you just like I don't understand it. Like, there's no point to me anyway.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, but there's no point to me why you would want to be combative towards critical race theory or just learning about systemic racism or just discrimination towards any of the indigenous peoples or minorities in this country. Like, why? Oh, why?
I mean, it
Like,
seems so
what?
simple, but nah, that's it. It seems so simple,
Yeah.
but I think that's just like
Just
the core of what America tends to be and kind of like how it's promoted.
yeah.
Like what I want is what I want, and like I deserve, I deserve to have what I want.
Man, well, I deserve to be able to walk down the street without worrying about whether or not something's going to happen to me before I get home. So, if you paying attention to some shit that makes you uncomfortable for 45 minutes makes that a little closer to being a reality, then F your feelings. My life is more important. Like, straight, no, it's like straight up. Like, if if learning about racism makes you uncomfortable, I don't care. Like, straight up.
Yeah,
Like,
I felt that way. Uncomfortable. You gotta eat. You just gotta eat that. Like, just eat
yeah.
it. You're not losing anything.
Yeah.
You know what?
So.
Here we go. Here we go. Here's story time. Have you, you know, when we used to get like they rode in a TV cart sometimes?
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the? Let me make sure I have the accurate name, cause I remember having so many dreams about this movie. Like I was literally scarred by it. It was like a history movie. What is it called?
Wasn't my friend Martin, was
Yes.
it?
Bro, let me tell you, bro, I've had so many dreams about this movie, man. Let me pull up. I was literally scarred by this. Cause like weren't there like time traveling and whatnot? To
Yeah,
like
he was
different
time travel.
scenarios where like Martin Luther King wasn't killed or something, or he didn't do certain things.
Yeah, so it was the main character and was a kid, and then like he went back to like when Martin Luther King was like a young. He was also a different points in MLK's life, and yeah, this is exactly what it was, and then it comes time for them to go to the point in time when MLK gets shot, and he's like, wait, no, don't go, you don't know what's gonna happen. And he's like, well, I gotta go
Gotta go get shot.
because I'm MLK, and this is what it means to be me. I don't remember what he said, but I remember the end of that movie. And I remember like being so awkward, or it being awkward, uh, because like we would watch that movie in class, and I'm just like, "Yo, this is it. This, yeah, okay."
I can't understand what's up, Martin. This isn't the home I left yesterday. Everything's all screwed up. This is terrible. I've ruined everything.
Martin, always remember, a man has no greater purpose.
Than to serve his fellow man.
Miles, I've got to go back. Don't you see? It must be because of me. Because I left my own time, things have changed in your time.
You mean all the good you did in the 50s and 60s? The marches, the boycotts, doesn't exist anymore?
Maybe the work I was supposed to do never happened because I wasn't there to do it.
But how can one person's life cause so much change?
What matters is that you're not afraid to make a difference.
You can't go.
Miles,
I don't know
we
what
all
all this
have a
extra stuff
destiny in
is.
life. This is mine. Seeing you with your friends before, how you all got along so well, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, but there's something I didn't tell you. If you go back...
No, please don't tell me anymore. Am I right?
Right.
Thank you for being my friend, Miles. I hope I get to remember you.
Wow.
No, I'm hurt.
They really put the JoJo theme on the end of it. Like,
I'm hurt. Oh gosh.
yeah, the movie used to make me so uncomfortable.
Bro, I just remember having so many dreams where I time traveled and I'm like stuck in
I used to
yo, stuck in the 50s, man. Couldn't get out.
man, well, that's like
Yo.
whenever people ask me, is oh, what time period would you want to go back to? Oh, I'd love to go back to like the 40s or like the 30s or the 50s and go, like the Roaring 20s, the big dresses and whatnot. And I'm just like, yeah. Oh, you know what it was? I was I was on a it was like a nature hike. It was like a night trail. And it was like some crazy full moon that night. I don't remember. It was one of the ones that only happened like once every so often.
Hmm.
And I was the only black person there, and it was a bunch of white people, and they were talking about how like uh it was apparently like part of like the Underground Railroad or something like that. And
Like the
it's
trail you
a
was on?
yeah, like there was a varying like the age range of people on the trail were varying from like kids to like adults, and uh the trail guide said, I want everybody to imagine for a second what they might have been doing uh, during the 1800s on this trail. And I was like, I would have been in chains. Just
Bro. The legitimacy though, dude.
everybody just got like super quiet.
Bruh.
Oh,
I mean, people don't realize it.
yeah, yeah.
Yo,
Y'all,
that's
talk,
so
y'all talking about, bootlegging and the prohibition, roaring 20s and all that, and swing dresses and all that. And I'm like, nah, fam.
so we can't share a water
Like,
fountain. Can't share a water fountain. We can't go to the same schools. We can't.
yeah,
I mean, anything pre like 1600s, I might be good.
yeah, maybe. You hope.
It depends on where I'm at. I feel like in America, you probably be fine pre 1600s.
Pre 1600s in
Yeah,
America.
vibe out with some Native Americans, Indians, whatever they prefer to be called.
I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna be a vibe.
I
But
mean, it'll be questionable. They probably try to kill me at first, but might be able to blend in at least a little bit. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out.
yeah.
Yeah, any other
Oh
time
my
period,
god.
I like it have to be at least the 80s upwards. But even then, that's still kind of there's some
Yeah.
whackness there.
Yeah. I'm cool to go to the future as long as like the resources of the planet aren't completely depleted. Like,
Man,
you know what I mean? So I go get my cybernetic body and my hoverboard. I have been promised a hoverboard since the '80s, and I don't have one.
From who? A movie. Don't tell me a movie.
From many movies.
Many movies.
Many
Movies
movies.
are the advertisement for the future.
Man, exactly. That's how it works. Like, you know what I mean?
We're gonna have
I
Pokemon
want my
soon then.
Pokemon are not a technological advancement, sir. That would be a creation of nature.
I
Unless we're
mean,
gonna
you don't think we
genetically
can?
create.
Yes, yes. We could genetically alter currently existing animals. I don't know how we're gonna get like flame breath and all that stuff, but and telekinesis too. I don't know about all that, but
Telekinesis. So if we get the technology to genetically modify living animals, then keep Pokemon. Give me superpowers. Like, just use those drugs on me and give me the fire breath and
boy, you gonna
telekinesis.
turn into a Ditto. You gonna go straight to a blob.
Like,
Bro.
straight up. I'm not trying to have. I'm like, oh, let me go get a pet to do all my battles. Like, no, I wanted to use Tail Whip. I want to use Hydro Pump. How would a human being use Hydro Pump? Would it just be saliva instead of water?
So, bro, you just spat on me.
Is that what happens to Pokemon doing? Is it not
Yo,
water? Is it saliva? Where does it come from? We don't know.
bro. I mean, they could be doing like chemical reactions in their mouth or like they have some glands or something.
Yeah, that still don't sound like it's not saliva.
I have another video for you. Can slowly close out. Is like I watched something on Netflix a hot minute ago where they talked about like biohacking and
Josiah
everything.
Zahner thinks everyone should be able to change their DNA.
For us, the frogs are a way to teach people actual genetic engineering and gene therapy without harming an organism. The step right before people doing genetic modification on humans if they wanted to.
Josiah is a very controversial figure. He's got a scientific background with a PhD in biophysics, and he spent 2 years as a research fellow at NASA. But he left to start a company called the Odin. He sells kits to help anyone modify organisms for as cheap as $30. That's because he wants genetic engineering to be decentralized, in the hands and homes of everyone.
I think everybody's worried about the risks of genetic engineering and how it's going to hurt people. And nobody's worried about the risks of what's going to happen if we don't allow people to do genetic engineering. Because the problem isn't going to be like, oh man, that person has way too many enhancements or doesn't. The problem is going to be, is it an equal playing field? Does everybody have access to this technology?
It's a provocative idea. It's also dangerous. And it's becoming possible because of CRISPR, a gene editing technology that can find and cut a sequence of DNA in a cell and replace it with another. It can achieve in days what used to take months, with precision and at a fraction of the cost.
If it wasn't for CRISPR, I don't think my company would be possible.
A few years ago, George Church, a pioneer of CRISPR, signed on as an advisor to the Odin. But even he's acknowledged the risks inherent in DIY genetic engineering. Leading researchers say the technology is still too new to use on humans without potentially harmful consequences, and that the way Josiah promotes it is reckless.
This is Josiah Zahner, coming straight to you from my garage lab, and I want to talk to you about how to genetically engineer a human being.
Josiah is famous in the world of biohackers, people who experiment on their own bodies and other organisms outside of traditional labs and institutions. He's gotten a lot of media attention for his very public DIY stunts, like when he injected himself with CRISPR while giving a talk at a synthetic biology conference.
This will modify my muscle genes to give me bigger muscles. Did that just quiet everybody? Sorry.
The month after Josiah's injection, The FDA issued a warning that, for safety reasons, it's illegal to sell gene therapy products for use on humans.
Oh.
Earlier that year, German authorities restricted imports of the Odin's CRISPR kit, reporting that it was contaminated with disease-causing bacteria. Despite the warnings, the Odin has sold tens of thousands of CRISPR experiments.
Don't tell anybody. These party lights are actually really special. We use them for DNA visualization or fluorescence visualization, 50-cent lights. And they work just as well.
You can't make an effective human gene therapy from just what's in these kits. You'd need more skills and supplies. If someone decided to inject themselves with what they can produce from the kit, they risk a potentially deadly reaction.
So if you don't purify it properly, you're just basically injecting yourself with something that can cause an immune reaction. The majority of people probably won't kill them, but that's just the majority of people.
The Odin started selling kits in 2016. Last year, Josiah says, they made over $500,000. He insists that by making gene editing available to as many people as possible, he's also helping to advance the science.
What are we all so afraid of? And I think that question kind of comes down to we're afraid to change what it means to be human. Like the clear-cut definition of a human being is male, female, they have kids and procreate. And once you start straying outside those lines, people get more and more uncomfortable. And I think genetic engineering is still at that place where everybody thinks it's going to cause the zombie apocalypse. Sometimes I still am afraid, but it's not a fear of something bad happening necessarily. It's more of a fear that you can't control it.
Josiah's public CRISPR injection doesn't seem to have done much to him. He doesn't regret doing it, but says he was surprised by the reaction he got in the months that followed.
Alright, so I'm going to try to shoot to do half of it on one side of my stomach and then the other half on the other side.
After I injected myself with CRISPR, the next biohacker to inject themselves was a month later. I thought it would be years.
And he admits his stunt might encourage people to do something dangerous, but is still wrestling.
So I watched this whole documentary thing, which is not from this YouTube site or anything. And the person that just injected himself, I think he was the individual that had HIV, and they were saying that they can cure him with the modifications. But
with his own responsibility.
People are like, "Oh, I want to inject my."
What's up?
So see, I feel like there's beneficial applications to this, but the sight of those needles makes me very uncomfortable. Put me to sleep, then give me superpowers.
Bruh. Maybe we need so thin of a needle that it's invisible, so that way you can't see it.
I'm not even in the room. It's a video, and I'm my skin is crawling. But no, I think maybe homeboys watch a little bit too much Ghost in the Shell. Let
me see if I can find.
I'm definitely on board with the concept. I'm on board with the concept. I just want the research to be chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I want the Gordon Ramsay of biogenetic engineering to give me my superpowers.
I mean, it'll be a hot minute before it'll get to us commoners. At least I would think.
That's how we gotta get rich.
Let's see.
We are going to learn how to genetically modify frogs. Turn them into little fighting Ninja Turtles? No, they're not turtles. At the Odin, we are a genetic engineering educational company. So we sell kits and supplies and teach classes that teach people with no experience in science how to do genetic engineering in their own home. And we hope that you don't create zombies. We're gonna inject some of them with the gene therapy, and others of them we're just gonna leave, and we're gonna see if they build up muscle and grow bigger and stronger. So the first thing we have to do is we wanna anesthetize the frogs. And what happens is that they don't feel any pain. We're gonna wait just a couple minutes, and after that few minutes, rinse them off in some non-chlorinated water. The gene that we are going to inject today is a gene called follistatin. Now what follistatin does is it downregulates this gene called myostatin, which inhibits muscle growth. If we were making muscles all the time, we would burn so many calories and our bodies would have a hard time, existing. But when you give a gene therapy that makes this gene not work so well, you grow muscle. Because these gene therapies are temporary, you see the maximal expression of the gene that we put in there about 24 to 48 hours after it's injected. In the experiment, you inject the frogs once a week and see how their changes in muscle growth are compared to the frogs we did not inject.
Wait, I'm gonna get
Are we out here looking like Battletoads?
Bro, like there was I'm trying to find it because like they were beefy after a little bit. I'm so upset, bro. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I mean, you can always like do a more extensive deep dive.
I mean, yeah. I'll see if I can just find an image. All good. My friend Martin, bro. Yo, I'm forever scarred by that movie.
Yeah, I'll never forget that movie.
Dude, I might have to go back and watch this. I wonder if they're still showing this in schools. You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I feel like I don't remember it quite as well as I probably should. But I feel like there's a lot of things in there where it's like, see, this
Yeah.
This isn't a new thing. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
Anywho, I'ma hang it up. That's all I got.
I think we can go ahead and close on out.
Alright, I'm gonna see if I can rip some music from Geo. Shout outs to Geo.
Shout outs to Geo doing his live stream.
See if I can go rip. Probably shouldn't, but whatever. Oh, I gotta unmute it though. We got it. One sec. Hit him with that button. And then I can hit this button. This isn't specifically his music, but this is some of the homies that are in the playlist. So we'll go ahead and close out. You can go ahead and start us off. Man, vibing.
I'm vibing. Well, thank you everybody who tuned in and is going to watch this in the future. This has been episode 21 of Inperspektev. Since we're 21, leave a donation in the comments. We can go buy ourselves an adult beverage. I have been Light. You can follow me on social media at Light. That's my handle is Light Strife, spelled LYGHE_STRIFE. And you should go listen to my new song on YouTube called Tired that will be on streaming platforms very, very soon.
Should we listen to that?
mean, if you want to.
We can.
Draw into today's topic.
We can right after this. Yeah, I'll keep mine short. Just follow the podcast at Perspective. Consistency will be key. Need to get back to cutting stuff up, putting it out, which I'll do. So, do appreciate the people that have been watching, continuously watching, and we'll keep at it. But yeah, CRT is important. Use it as a lens.
Black lives matter more than white feelings.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't necessarily agree with that comparison needing to be stated.
Well,
they both matter. Anywho, we're gonna listen to this man's song and then we're gonna dip out. Shout outs to the white homies and the black homies and everything in between.
Yes. Shout out to all the anti-racists in the chat.
Man, I'm tired.
I'm tired. That's why I made that song.
Oh, I can't look it up like that. No. Is it one word?
Oh God, don't do that.
Oh,
don't
Killer
do
Instinct.
No, we're not doing that.
Susie, I seen your video, your
Oh
Killer
my
Instinct freestyle. I
God.
thought the bars were dope. I thought the beat was dope. And
why is this
I'm really
public?
glad you let me get on this. I'm gonna try to do it justice. I hope y'all like it. Anyway.
Oh my God, why is this public?
Too. I need those subscriptions. Anyway, here I go.
Why is this public? Can we not? What are we doing this right now?
Nah, I'll let it go. Is this the right channel? You have a different channel, right?
Oh God, that's my old channel.
Am I tripping? I am tripping. Domo hat.
Yo, oh my God. Wait, yo, all
Cody.
that stuff is public?
This picture is killing me. It looks like your arm is so skinny, but it's just behind the wall. Bro. Okay.
Don't go look this stuff up, chat. This is going. There's an underscore in the middle.
There's an underscore. Okay, that's why.
Oh my God. Yeah, that stuff is getting privatized immediately.
Bro.
I'm proud of this.
Exile. You wildin'.
You wildin'.
You wildin'.
First off, R.I.P. George Floyd, and fuck your performative activism and other poor ploys to combat us and distract us from making more noise. I guess it's just another name until it's one of your boys, right? I really wonder what it's like, another life without the fright that I might have to fight for my rights. Let me tell you what fear's like. It's hoping that your kid gets more birthdays than Tamir Rice or Elijah McClain. Y'all were crying in pain, trying to explain that it feels like we're dying in vain. Y'all just want us to stop yelling out that Black Lives Matter so y'all can get back to stepping on our backs like ladders. Y'all exploit our culture, labor, and skill, but we're still missing convictions from when Breonna Taylor was killed. So I got a problem with you when you say you want unity. Cause I don't think you want the same thing for you and me. I'm tired of people criticizing our anger. I'm tired of people laughing when our lives are in danger. I'm tired of seeing little kids on airbrush shirts. Tired of other people's comfort coming from us hurt. I'm tired of worrying about my friends. I'm tired of people trying to weaponize my skin. I'm tired of having to say rest in power. Certain people get the rights and what's left is ours. They say that they deserve what they got, we should comply. If that was true, we wouldn't have to pray to God we survive. It's hard not to think they're not plotting our demise. Reminding your P's and Q's still gets a dot above your eyes. I wish I had the confidence these terrorists had, committing hate crimes, waving around American flags like they're some kind of patriot. Ain't that some crazy shit? Meanwhile, we just gotta put up with the hate we get. I see them in red hats, covered in cues. Somehow don't get called racist when get covered on news. Same dudes run up in the school, dumping they tool, causing a bloodbath. Then get labeled young and confused. When did it become controversial to denounce evil? This country was built by tearing down brown people. I just wish more cops would second guess their orders and leave less of us with post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm tired of people criticizing our anger. I'm tired of people laughing when our lives are in danger. I'm tired of seeing little kids on airbrush shirts. Tired of other people's comfort coming from us hurt. I'm tired of worrying about my friends. I'm tired of people trying to weaponize my skin. I'm tired of having to say rest in power. Certain people get the rights and what's left is ours. Rest in peace to Botham John, Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Tatiana Jefferson, and the many, many more who have lost their lives to the institutionalized racism and police brutality in this country. Rest in peace.
Yo, I'm so proud of that song.
Yeah, it's good,
man. shout out to the homie Sasha too. Boy acts up.
You wild.
For just being amazing, producing that, and everything he did for that, and doing the cover art, and y'all need to go check him out and show him some love. So,
word. Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
Alrighty, I think we're gonna head out. I don't know. I'm being weird. I'm just being weird. I'm gonna go back to Gio's channel real quick. Am I? I'm not. We bouncing. It's gonna be abrupt.